Most couples wait an average of 6 years before they finally talk about the thing that's actually bothering them. Not 6 years to notice it. 6 years to say it out loud. Picture a couple, married for a while now, sitting across from each other after another quiet argument about money. Nothing dramatic happened. No affair. No crisis. Just the same tight, careful tone they've used 100 times before, about 100 different purchases, bills, and decisions. And somewhere in that argument, one of them thinks, "We've been having this exact fight for 6 years. Not the same words. Not the same purchase. But the same fight." And that thought is more accurate than either of them realizes. 1. The 6-year number. Relationship researcher John Gottman found something striking in his long-term studies of couples. On average, couples wait about 6 years before addressing a serious problem in their relationship. 6 years of noticing it. 6 years of feeling it. 6 years of quietly working around it. Before either partner actually says it out loud. And by the time they do, the problem usually isn't small anymore. It has had 6 years to grow roots. Money is one of the most common places this happens. Not because money is uniquely difficult to talk about, but because money touches almost everything else: security, fairness, trust, control, which makes it easy to avoid the real conversation and just keep having smaller ones instead. And often, the 6 years don't weigh the same on both people. One partner may be the one quietly tracking every purchase in their head, feeling the tension build a little more with each one. The other may not even realize a conversation has been avoided at all. That imbalance is part of why the silence lasts as long as it does. 2. Why couples wait. If the problem is real, why does it take so long to name it? A few reasons show up again and again. Nobody wants to be the one who makes it about money. Bringing up a financial resentment can feel petty, even when it isn't. So instead of saying, "I'm worried about how we spend," someone says nothing, and just feels a little more tense the next time a bag comes home from the store. There's also the hope that it will resolve on its own. Things will calm down after the wedding. Things will calm down once the kids are older. Things will calm down once we're not so busy. Sometimes that's true. Often, the specific stressor changes, but the underlying pattern doesn't. And there's a quieter reason too. Naming the problem makes it real. As long as it stays unspoken, it can still be explained away as a bad week, a stressful month, a one-time disagreement. The moment you say it out loud, it becomes something you both have to actually deal with. That's why silence, even when it costs something, can feel like the safer option. 3. What silence actually does. Here is the part most couples don't expect. Staying quiet doesn't neutralize the problem. It doesn't even really slow it down. It just moves the entire conflict underground, where it keeps growing without anyone actively managing it. Every unspoken frustration doesn't disappear. It gets filed away. A silently swallowed comment about a spending habit. A private irritation about who checks the account balance and who doesn't. A quiet resentment about who sacrificed a career and who didn't. None of it goes away. It just waits. And it attaches itself to the next money conversation, and the one after that. Until an argument about a $50 purchase is actually carrying 6 years of unspoken weight. Think of it like a debt neither of you ever named. No monthly statement. No due date. Just interest, quietly compounding, every time the real conversation gets postponed. This is the same idea we talked about with why solving the purchase doesn't solve the argument. Except here, it isn't happening over weeks. It's happening over years. The same unresolved question, wearing a different disguise every time it shows up. 4. The moment it finally surfaces. Interestingly, the 6-year silence rarely breaks on its own. Usually, something forces it. A job loss. An inheritance. A big purchase that can't be avoided, a car, a house, a medical bill. A retirement account statement that suddenly makes the future feel real instead of theoretical. Suddenly, the couple is standing in front of a decision that requires them to say, out loud, what they actually think and feel about money. And everything that was never discussed comes out at once. Not because that one moment is uniquely dramatic, but because it's the first moment large enough that avoiding the conversation is no longer possible. By then, the conversation isn't just about the current decision. It's about 6 years of decisions that were never actually made together. 6 years of one person quietly adjusting, quietly resenting, or quietly worrying, alone. 5. What an earlier conversation could have looked like. This is not about becoming a couple who argues about money constantly. It's the opposite. Couples who talk about money early and often tend to argue about it less, not more. Because the goal was never to avoid every disagreement. It was to avoid one very specific thing, letting a real, ongoing issue sit unspoken for years while it quietly gets bigger. An earlier version of that 6 years later conversation doesn't need to be dramatic. It can be as simple as, I've noticed I get anxious every time we talk about spending. Can we figure out why? I don't think we've actually agreed on how we want to handle this, we've just been avoiding it. I don't want this to turn into something we're still fighting about in 5 years. None of those sentences require a crisis. They just require someone deciding not to wait for one. The goal was never a relationship with no money disagreements. Every couple disagrees about money. The goal is not letting 6 years pass before naming the one that actually matters. Because the couples who struggle most with money aren't always the ones who fight about it the most. Sometimes they're the ones who never really talked about it at all. They just waited. And by the time they finally said the thing they'd been quietly carrying, it had already been costing them for years.